We'll turn to Brian T. Castelli, and let me briefly say a few words about him. He brings nearly 30 years of national and international experience in the energy field, including expertise in energy efficiency, renewables, emissions reduction, and electricity demand reduction. To the Alliance to Save Energy, that's the name of the institution, as its Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer. Prior to joining the Alliance senior management team in July of 2005, Brian ran his own energy consulting firm. Among his varied endeavors, he was the federal agency liaison for the California Energy Commission, a principal with the Center for Energy and Climate Solutions, and a consultant to the Electric Power Research Institute, or EPRI. Brian also consulted with the National Association of State Energy Officials, where on behalf of the National Energy Technology Laboratory, he conducted a series of public workshops in 14 western states on advanced, highly efficient turbines and fuel cells. As a presidential appointee, Mr. Castelli served as Chief of Staff to the U.S. Department of Energy's Assistant Secretary for Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy from 1994 to 2001. He led and participated in missions to the Western Hemisphere, European and former Soviet Union countries, and was deeply involved in developing energy efficiency measures for the eventual closure of the nuclear reactors in Chernobyl, Ukraine. Prior to DOE, Brian was Executive Director of the Pennsylvania Energy Office and ran the Commonwealth's energy policies and programs, managed the State Energy Office, and the Pennsylvania Energy Development Authority, and took the lead on responding to energy emergencies, developed a revolving loan fund for energy efficiency measures, and a, quote, green buildings program for state-owned buildings in Pennsylvania. And he drafted legislation for and implemented an alternative fuel program. He has authored many articles, studies, presentations in many state, national, and international forums and conferences. Mr. Castelli holds 2 degrees from the University of Pennsylvania, a Bachelor of Science in Chemical Engineering. There you go, University of Pennsylvania again. There are 2 of you here, right? And an MBA in Industrial Environmental Management from the university's Wharton School. Brian, it's all yours.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Andy. I'm going to sit here because I can see the slides from here, and you can move on to the first slide if you want. I want to thank you, Andy, for having me here, as well as both U.S.-Ukraine organizations, as well as the Ukrainian American Environmental Association. I'm pleased to be here. I certainly do enjoy the work that I've had in the past in Ukraine. And let me tell you a little bit about the Alliance first. We are a non-governmental organization. We want to promote energy efficiency worldwide for all those good reasons, achieving a healthier economy, a cleaner environment, and greater energy security. We are a very unique organization in that we were created back in 1977 by Senator Charles Percy and Senator Hubert Humphrey, a Republican and a Democrat. So we are a nonpartisan organization. We continue today. We have 9 members of Congress on our board. We're led by our honorary chairman, Mark Pryor, and we always have a co-chairman from our membership. And that co-chairman for the past 2 years and for this upcoming year is Jim Rogers, the CEO of Duke Energy. You can flip to the next slide. We have over 150 businesses that belong to the Alliance. They range in size from Fortune 100 companies to smaller companies. As you can see from here, these are just some of the logos of the companies we work with: Michelin, Honeywell, Johnson Controls, Oak Ridge National Lab is one of our members as well, Southern California Edison, so a very, very large organization. And we do forge partnerships. That's one of the ways we believe gets to get things done. This graphic over here on the right is really what Ed was talking about, is the huge potential for energy efficiency in Ukraine. You can see what it takes to produce $1,000 of GDP in any of the countries up there, Ukraine and Russia, it takes more energy than any of the other countries. China, the U.S. are virtually at the world average, but you can see there's a great potential for energy efficiency in Ukraine. The other thing is Ukraine's very dependent on importing energy resources and fuels. More than 75% of its natural gas comes from Russia, and that's clearly a big issue. In the U.S. here, we have a problem with the amount of oil that we import from other countries, and we're only at around the 60% level or so. So being that dependent on a single fuel is a real problem, and it leads to energy efficiency as one of the solutions as to how to decrease that high number. Also, supplying heat to more than 70,000 high-rise residential buildings accounts for about 40% of the country's heat energy resources. District heating systems are the way that many of these buildings are heated. And the interesting aspect of that is that those district heating systems use about 8.1 million metric tons of coal a year. So if you want to talk about climate change and carbon, then you see there's also a great potential here to reduce that coal usage and make those systems more efficient, as well as the end users who use the heat that they produce. And finally, energy efficiency is improving at about 4 to 6% a year, but currently it remains at a level that was about equal to Poland back in the 1990s. Now, the Ministry of Fuel and Energy, I think it was 2 years ago, created a target of increasing the energy efficiency in the country by about 42% over 15 years. But even if they achieve that ambitious goal, they're only going to be at the same level where we see the Czech Republic today. So there's a lot to be done in Ukraine. I think one of the big issues in the municipal sector, and this is where the Alliance has done a lot of work in Ukraine, is the district heating issue. The climate in Ukraine, of course, is very harsh in the winters, and that presents a tremendous demand for heat. The buildings are very inefficient, so are the heating systems. The system you see here is actually a German system that's in Germany being built. It will be quite a good system, unlike many of the systems that are in Ukraine, where there are tremendous amounts of leaks. They're leaks. They're built above ground. It's a real problem, and many, of course, of these district heating systems fell into disrepair after the fall of the Soviet Union. The funding to maintain the systems wasn't there. The operational skills aren't there. You heard that before about the need for operational skills in the nuclear industry, but you need just as many skills and people to be schooled in energy efficiency or in district